Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. And in this video I'd like to talk about they don't make things like they used to. Have you ever used that expression? Boy, they sure don't make them like they used to. I'm sure you can think of many things that you could say that expression for. I'm sitting on a 1958 801 Series Ford tractor. And I have a neighbor that has a fairly new John Deere tractor, and they have already had to take it in for problems with it, some of the electrical hydraulic system, that they had to take it back to the John Deere dealership to be fixed. Meanwhile, I have a basic tractor, 1958, still running with no issues with it whatsoever. The front end loader on it, hydraulic bucket, the 3-point hitch in the back with the power takeoff. Not any issues. Starts right on up. Listen to that. Bucket on it. They sure don't make them like they used to. So we're going to talk about it right after this. Okay, I'm back. So yes, things that they don't make like they used to. And I was running errands yesterday and saw a 1950s era Ford Fairlane car. I'll post a picture. Beautiful car that I had to take a look at. And I walked away and said to myself, man, they don't make them like this anymore. And so what are some other things that you can think of that they just don't make like they used to? How about appliances? Remember the old refrigerators that would last 30 years or more? And now, how often are we having to replace appliances? How about furniture? Remember the old way furniture was made, solid and heavy? Good old furniture, made to last. Washing machines, sewing machines, watches. Now, sometimes it's just cheaper to replace the watch than it is to replace the battery in it. You just go to Walmart and you can find a watch for $8. So we live in this throwaway society. How about buildings? Boy, you go through some of these old towns and you see the dates on them. 1897, 1920, 1930, and the beautiful stonework and the craftsmanship. The way people used to build, and even the houses. Just the detail that they put into building things and making things that just does not compare to what we have today. And you see how quickly we put things up, how quickly we can build a house. And it seems like we just snap them together. It's just, as someone mentioned to me with modern day houses, she says they're cookie cutter. She used the word tacky houses. And you can go through these housing developments, and I guess you can say they are tacky. And just the fake stonework and all the vinyl siding and plastic, and just quickly made, thin walls, 2x4s that are thin, not even a real 2x4 after they plane them down, compared to the old houses that still have bark and just rough cut timber in these old houses built in the 1800s that are better built than today's modern day houses. Truly remarkable. And yes, things just aren't built the way that they used to be. And I can remember in the military, we used to have this expression, GI proof. And whenever we had a piece of equipment, it was normally built rugged for the field. A lot of it was clunkety metal, canvas, hard wiring, and it was purposely designed for military use, ruggedness out in the field, to where even a basic soldier could use it, drop it, bang it around, can meet the demands of being out in the elements. It was GI proof. And so now a lot of things you get just aren't GI proof. And some of our cars. And yes, we have all the great technology now and all the safety features in cars. That Ford Fairlane I saw yesterday. Yeah, it didn't have all the nice electronics and safety features as today's cars have, but it still has something that today's vehicles don't have. When you look back at nostalgia and how things were made, and that they were made to last. But later on, they did count, they did figure it out, and started building things so that people would buy more. And so they came up with, I'm sure you may have heard the term obsolescence. Well, Jim, what's obsolescence? Is where they build into a product a certain lifespan in it, so then that it will wear out after a period of time, so that we as the consumer will have to go and buy another one, to go buy another microwave, to go buy another car. And it just seems like they've got it figured out. After 3 years, 36,000 miles, it reaches that. You end your warranty on your vehicle, and would you know it, the transmission goes out on it or something else. And they seem to have it to a T, obsolescence built into the products that we buy. And it can be quite frustrating. And we live in this consumer throwaway society. It can be frustrating. And I've even heard businesses say, we make more money in maintenance and repair than selling new products. And you take a look at a plumber, and how often they go to people's houses replacing something on a furnace, expansion tanks and shutoff valves and one-way check valves and pressure relief valves and this and that. You would think that they would last, but we're always constantly repairing parts on a lot of this stuff. And then a lot of the newer high efficiency appliances and furnaces now that they're putting in these houses, you'll talk to a plumber and they say they're crap, they're garbage, and that they would much rather have the old school boiler type of a furnace, because they don't have the issues with them like some of these newer pieces of equipment with all the electronics in them and computer chips. And again, they don't build stuff like they used to. And the days of having a good ear and a screwdriver like that tractor there, very basic. I can tune that up with my ear and a screwdriver, some spark plugs, and take off the distributor cap and points and condenser and all that stuff that's on it, and have it back up and running in no time. Very easy to service this thing. Who remembers the days of TV repairmen? I remember that. Or camera repair, or shoe repair. We don't really repair much anymore like back in the day. And as I said, we're in this throwaway by design society to keep us consuming and buying. And if things were built to last, some of these companies could go out of business because things are lasting so long. But that's the way it is now. And I learned recently there's something called a right to repair laws. Right to repair laws, and in some places, there's actually 5 states that passed it. And it's they require manufacturers to provide owners and independent repair businesses with fair access to service information and affordable replacement parts, so that we're able to get things fixed quickly on our own. We could take them to an independent repairman that we don't have much anymore. Now it's designed to where you have to take it back to manufacturer, take the car back to the dealer. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, you got to take the tractor back to the John Deere dealership. Or a lawnmower that has a belt that you can't just buy off the shelf. You have to buy it from that particular company because they made it just long enough or short enough to only fit their product by design. So you have to buy their parts only from them, where you can't just go to your big box store to go buy a part. All by design to keep us buying more. And in California, actually July of this year were the latest right to repair legislation that passed July of this year. And then the other states that have right to repair laws is Colorado, Minnesota, New York, and Massachusetts. Right to repair. And I hope that maybe more states can pass that. And as I said, I definitely appreciate our latest technologies and GPS and our efficient water faucets and shower heads and toilets that save water and everything. But we just don't have the quality or the character that a lot of the older things have in their craftsmanship and how things were made. It's just missing that uniqueness that we've lost, from years past, where everything is just snapped together, big box store, vinyl siding, real quick, put it together, boom, 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 and it's made and put up in no time at all, so that they turn around and go and build the next one and the next one. And when the next hurricane hits, the stuff just gets blown to smithereens. Now, the topic that I've been talking here has mostly been on things, equipment. And I got to thinking, how about other things? How about, and this is things that I've heard throughout the years, music. From 80s music to the hip-hop, R&B, 80s country music, and how often, or perhaps you even said, boy, they don't make music like that anymore. Man, that 80s hip-hop and R&B, man, that was the best. Somebody said, man, this today's country music, man, it's garbage. Bring me back some Waylon Jennings. How about some Clint Black? How about some Johnny Cash or some Willie Nelson? The outlaw music. Man, they don't make music or singers like that anymore. Boy, they don't make them like that. Movies. Old movies. You can think of them. They don't make them like that anymore. Homes. Affordable homes. and how many of our young people can't afford to buy a home with the prices the way that they are, inflation at the way it is. And as we know, a lot of people aren't getting married or not having children, and that's going on throughout all Western countries. Other countries are experiencing the same thing with the decline in the population. People aren't having babies. And so it's a big concern when we've got more older people than we have younger people. So we're not having families, we're not marrying, we're not having children. So we're not having families like we used to. And some would even say, Jim, marriage is an outdated technology. It seems that it's not working very well with the high divorce rates. Boy, we just don't make families and marriage and home like it used to be. I've heard from teachers on the children in the classroom on how behavior is a big problem. And not only do they have problem with the children in the classroom, but the parents. The parents are just as bad as the kids. And so I have to think, something's changed in our society. Kids, parents, boy, they don't make them like they used to. Men and women. I've talked about it in my previous channels and how women are different. A lot of men are having difficulty with the dating in America, and how more and more women are becoming liberal, feminists, masculine. And feminism has taken root. And so a lot of women today lack femininity. And I've heard it from men about the women, and even the older people, the older generation, who I've heard men who are now widows and they lost their wife, and they'll say that their late wife was the best thing that ever happened to him. When he got married to her, when he first saw her and knew that as soon as he saw it, he was going to marry her, and he ended up marrying her. And when she died, it was a hard toll on him. And he'll say, "Yeah, she was a great woman." They sure as heck don't make them like that anymore. And even I've heard from women that the men are lacking the decency and the character and the masculinity, and how they're even frustrated about the men. They just don't make them good old-fashioned masculine men. They don't make them like they used to, Jim. And so we don't do things like we used to. Some of the chivalry that we had, that's dying. And you can think of other things. Customer service. People can talk about years past of diners and restaurants, and how a lot of places it was the honor system and just good quality service where they went above and beyond. And now it just seems so plain and watered down and lacks the quality and attention to detail as years past. Department stores and service. Think about the old filling stations, and I can even remember as a kid too, and I think they're pretty much gone. Remember when you can pull into a gas station and you had full service, and they would come out and pump your gas, check your oil, wash your windshield for you, check things over. And sometimes they tried to sell you something if they saw that you needed new windshield wipers or some tires. Of course, they would try to sell things. But nonetheless, it was good service. Good service, and sometimes kids could walk away with a little trinket or toy or whatnot from the gas station. They don't do things like that anymore. Values, decency. We've lost a lot of that in our country, in the way that we dress. Remember how people used to dress up when they would go and travel? That was a special occasion. Suit and tie for the men, a hat, women in their dresses. That was a special occasion. And how people thought about how they presented themselves to the world. And I can remember my grandmother. She never left the house without something decent on, her hair done, her makeup on. And she would always look like she was getting ready to go to a party or something, and all she was doing was going to the grocery store. Yep. Values in colonial days. There was a survey done. Barna. The guy's last name is Barna. I can't remember his first name right now. But he does these surveys. And in his research, he found that in the colonial days, here were the values back in the colonial days. Listen to this. Hard work, civic duty, humility, moderation, family, faith, rule of law, frugality, and simplicity. The values in the colonial period. And the survey that was taken in 2018, this is what Barna found in 2018 were the values of the day. Comfort, experiences, personal expression, happiness, independence, entitlement, control, acceptance, and freedom. Isn't that interesting? I wonder if we did a survey in 2024, what would be the values today? I would think that they might be slightly different. But I think in some places around the country, I think hard work, civic duty, family, faith, rule of law is still something that's valued. And I think in this day and age with inflation and possibility of economic downturn that we're even, some people may say, we may even see another Great Depression, things like simplicity, frugality may be the new value of the day. And perhaps a return to faith and family. And as I said, yes, we live in a consumer capitalist society. Throw away. And I take my garbage out every Friday, and I have the trash bin, and then I have the recycle can that I take out to the road every week. But it just still amazes me that we throw away so much, and then they have bulk pickup once a month, and just all the stuff that we throw out, and where does it go? Most of it goes to a landfill. It's just tragic. You would think we would do a better job of recycling. And sometimes I've even seen undercover reports that a lot of the recycling doesn't even get recycled, but goes straight to the landfill, which I think is just an absolute tragedy. And it's just amazing that we just still continue to pile on these landfills and just throw it in the ground. Or a lot of stuff ends up in the ocean, and all the plastics and all the garbage that is floating in our oceans, and then the fish out there swimming in it, and all the toxins that are out there. And one of the reasons why I don't even bother to eat fish anymore, because of all the toxins that are in it. And so that's what this video was about. It was just something that I have said of recent. I've observed it myself, and I'm sure many of you have observed it, and sometimes perhaps may have some nostalgia and reminisce of years past, of how things were done, service, old stores, clothing, appliances, old-fashioned values. And some people would say, I'm old school. They still have a lot of those old school values. Listen to the old music. It just seems to have a bit of what's the word to it? Just seems to have some more quality and genuineness to it compared to a lot of the things that we have today in regards to decency. And some of the music is just garbage, and movies that are even considered PG or for children, even some of these animations that you think is safe for the family, they've got these little innuendos in there for adults, or maybe even sometimes where you may have to plug up your ears, or your kids' ears, or cover their eyes because of the indecency. Or like in the Super Bowl, the halftime shows, and it's just absolutely appalling to where you even have nudity in them. And it's just a crying shame now that this is what our society has come to. They just don't do things like they used to. And on we can go. So this was just a video that just to share with you about that you're not the only one. I'm sure you may have said it yourself, but this is the world we live in, and we just have to do the best we can and hope, and take care of the things that we do have. Vehicles can last long by proper maintenance, changing the oil, rotating tires. Some vehicles do last, and things do take care of them. If you take care of them, they'll take care of you, and can last. And that's the best thing we can do. And then not only that, when you buy things, make sure you do your due diligence and homework and get the reviews on it to see how these things actually operate and if they're any good or not before you buy them. So that is all. Thank you for watching. Maybe we can get back to some of those old values in this country and dig up some of the old things that are still around, like this old tractor here, which will probably be continuing to run after these modern day tractors are in the scrapyard. So anyway, thanks again for watching. I'll see you on the next one.